And just to introduce myself, I'm Dennis Smeltzer. I'm president of TSANet. With me is Paul Esch, who is the director of our business strategy and development. And then lurking in the background over there in the UK is Stephanie, who keeps us all straight with everything that we're doing. The objective of this really is just kind of walk you through a high level of TSANet. There's a lot of people that are on this call that are already members. In fact, the majority of them are, but I think there are a few that are not members. And so I'm kind of do a broad stroke of all of this. And I'll tell you right now, if you want to get into more detail and things like that, is to get a hold of Stephanie. You can do that through her name at tsanet.org, or you can get a hold of, send an email to membership@tsanet.org and set up a more detailed intro call. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through, again, the high level of the organization. We'll talk about that a little bit. Actually, we're going to get into a little bit of the tactical interface, right? Which is, how do you place a call, right? Or if you're receiving a call, what can you expect from another member company? And we'll walk through that a little bit as well. So let me go ahead and get started. I start out every presentation I have for years when I've done a presentation on TSANet with this slide and talk about the fact that we're a not-for-profit. We were set up as an association, and we were set up like that way for a reason, and that is that there was going to be no owner of TSANet. The industry was going to be the one that drives what it is that we do. And ever since 1993, that's exactly what it's done. Paul will tell you we're right in the middle of doing the next version of the TSANet Connect platform, and that's all member driven. It's the members coming to us saying, this is what we want you to do as an organization that represents us for multi-vendor support, helping support our customers. So that becomes very important. I work for a board. Paul and I both work for the board of directors. That board's elected by the membership. So they represent us from even that from the board level as well. So that, I think that's important. Everybody understand that it's very a member-driven organization. If I'm going to take 3 bullet points, the first one I just talked about, the fact that we're not for profit, and we're focused in on multi-vendor support. That is our charter. One of the things that we did, and this will resonate with some people, especially those that are pulling in maybe partners or trying to get partners into a collaborative environment with them. What we did with the organization was we got all these big companies' lawyers to agree to a common set of verbiage, and we call that a code of conduct. And that includes things like, how do you handle confidential information if you're collaborating with another member company? So we've done all that, and then we've taken this code of conduct and we build upon that to create relationships. And so you have to look at this, TSANet is really a relationship infrastructure. We do a lot of different things. I'm going to talk about the relationships that are already predefined here in a minute, but understand that we'll talk a lot about the fact that there's a mutual customer involved in a lot of these collaborations that occur. It doesn't have to be that way if the relationship is set up for you to do that. So understand it's an infrastructure, understand it's not tied into the fact that it's got to be this way or got to be that way from a relationship element perspective. We've got different relationships all over the board doing a lot of different things. And then the last piece of this is, and I'll walk you through this, is a platform that we've developed now. It's been 3 years ago, called TSANet Connect. And it's a mechanism that you're going to use to be able to collaborate with another partner or for them to be able to collaborate with you. And I'm going to walk you through all that as well, so you get a little bit better idea of how that works. Most of you that are members, we'll talk a little bit about how you can get in and find out who you can collaborate with and how you collaborate with that other partner. We'll talk about that as well. So, this is the basic slide, right? Why do we do this? And I think everyone or most of the people on this call are going to understand. The reason we do it is because we've got customers out there, and you don't want to finger point customers around, right? If you can get somebody really upset really quickly when you tell them, well, it's not my problem, call this other company, and they call the other company and they go, I have no idea why they told you to call me. So the idea here is to improve the whole customer experience, make sure that you've got a method for you to be able to say to that customer, hey, I can work this issue for you, or I can help you with this issue. I might need a little information from you, but you don't have to start over again. And you can still work with that with your customer to make sure that you work them through the collaborative environment so that they don't get finger pointed around. That's the whole point of this organization and the reason that it was set up, and the reason that we're up to 850 plus members that we have in the organization now. So this is my membership slide, and the way to explain this would actually go back a little bit historically and talk about when we first started the organization. The big value add was you come into this ecosystem of a bunch of different companies, and as long as they were in that ecosystem and you were in that ecosystem, then there was a collaboration method and there was a commitment from that other company that if there was a mutual customer involved between the two parties, that you would go ahead and collaborate with them. That has kind of morphed itself into what we call the basic TSANet and the premium TSANet. The difference of those two being that and premium is a subset of basic. So if you're a premium member, what that means is you've committed to work with other premium members on a 24/7 basis with higher level SLAs on a global scale, but also, and even if you're a basic member, where it involves one of your customers. So we get this all the time when we do intro calls. Oh, I don't know about joining into this organization. I'm going to get barraged with phone calls, and I'm committed then to work with companies that might even be my competitors. Well, that's not the case. You're going to get the phone call one way or another because it's coming from one of your customers. The difference is through TSANet, you're getting that call because one of the other members received a call from your customer, and now they're calling you to work the issue out. So you still get the phone call one way or another. It's just through TSANet, you're getting it from the other partner that your customer has called first. So the customer, where they're the big benefactor of this whole thing, rarely knows that TSANet is even going on or even taking place in the background. And quite honestly, they probably don't care, right? But so that's what the open group environment is all about. And the difference between basic and premium is going to be the commitment and the response time of you being able to collaborate with those partners that are in that ecosystem. On the right-hand side of the equation, here's what we did, was our members came to us several years ago and said, look, this infrastructure is really what I need. The open group thing works 90% of the time for all the relationships that I need, but I've got a partner program, or I've got a solution support environment, or I've got a high-level strategic relationship with this other company where I might be taking first-line support, and then if I need to escalate the call, I need a mechanism to get to their support department. So the companies came back to us and said, we want to use the same infrastructure. We want to use that legal structure. We want to use the TSANet platform. We want to use the whole TSANet concept, but we want to be able to pick and choose who those partners are, and we might want to change the elements of that relationship. So what we did was we then allowed our members to be able to pull in other partners into their own ecosystems. So at certain levels of membership within TSANet, you have the ability to create your own ecosystem. And a lot of companies have done that. They pulled in partner programs. They've created solution support environments. Again, it could be a one-to-one relationship that they have with another company. It could be even a development relationship that's outside of the typical break fix after production type of support environment. You have the ability to do that through TSANet, and we can make it work for you. So again, if this is something that either you're an existing customer existing member of TSANet, and you want to know more about that, this seems to be where a lot of value is gotten out of your membership within the organization. So more on that, we can get into that. I'm not going to get into it on this call because it would take me down a path that would take us to where it wouldn't make a lot of sense for some people. Don't want to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get in. We're going to talk about the TSANet Connect platform. And we'll spend a little bit of time on that. I'm actually going to log into the database and give you a demo of it, what it looks like. This past year, because even though you're going to see what we do and what we don't do within this environment, but nonetheless, some of our members came back to us and said, you're still collecting information, not necessarily about our customers so much, but you're collecting information about us as a company. We need you to be ISO 27001 certified. So we actually went out and got that last year. So the TSANet Connect platform is a ISO 27001 certified platform. I think it answers a lot of data security questions. And most of you are going to be familiar with 27001 anyway, but it touches on other things like GDPR and things like that. You're going to see in the next slide here, we really limit what we're involved with as far as data security is concerned. But nonetheless, this is something that you can go back to your IT folks and say, hey, they've got that certification. So we've gone through that piece of it. So this is an overview of the TSANet Connect process. And I think here's the big takeaway. What this environment, and I should stop for a second because we're in the process of coming up with version 2 of this. And it appears at this stage it's going to involve more integration and doing some other things within the member CRM systems and things like that. That's something that is being developed by our membership right now in the committee. Paul might talk about that at the very end of this. He can kind of touch a little bit on that and tell you how that works and what it is that we're doing with it. I'm going to talk about what exists out there right now, which is the process version 1. And here's what I want you to understand about this. This is a method for you to be able to submit a support request to another member company, or for you to receive a support request from that other member company. Once that's done, and I'll walk you through that environment, TSANet is going to record some information that a call was placed between these companies, that this company acknowledged the case, and then we're going to step out of the way, and you're going to track this within your own CRM system. You're never going to come back to TSANet to close out a case. You're going to use your own business processes, data security, all that kind of stuff within your own environment. So TSANet is going to connect these two endpoints together. We're going to collect some information like incident numbers on both sides of the system so you can go get some metrics out of it and be able to know that these calls were placed with your partners, and then be able to take that data and go back and look at your own data and dig in to find out more information if that's what your objective is. So, but the takeaway is, again, we're in this to be able to submit a support request, acknowledge that support request. We're going to step out of the way, and you're going to track this using your own business processes. Now, one of the things that we've done and we've worked on quite a bit was, especially with some of our premium members, is the ability to integrate into your CRM system. So there's quite a few companies that we have now that when you use the TSANet process and you submit a support request, on that receiving end, it's actually going into a ServiceNow or a Salesforce or a Jira and actually creating a case. And so there is some integration that we do with it. A lot of it is in a pretty simplified mode using some of the native email to case technology that's already built into these products. The call volumes where we really want them to increase have been relatively low. So it hasn't been something that justifies a lot of integration, at least at this stage. But it is an API-based system. We can do things like single sign-on, all that kind of stuff. So if integration is something that you're looking to do, we can do customized email templates where it's creating a case automatically. We can also do some things like respond back, et cetera, that kind of stuff. So there are some things that we can do, but I wanted you to capture of what it does and kind of what it doesn't do. And I'm going to walk you through kind of step by step of what it happens. So everyone that is a member has their own landing page. If you don't, you can go to connect@tsanet.org, or you can even just go to tsanet.org and click on member login, and you will get to your own landing page one way or another by clicking the member login section. It's going to be based on the email domain, and it's going to take you to your own landing page. And then you'll come up with a directory, and it's going to tell you all the different companies that you can collaborate with. Now that ties directly into your membership levels. So if you are a limited member, you may only see one company up there. If you're a premium member that uses this in an environment where you've created your own ecosystem, you may see hundreds of companies there. But either way, you'll see the partners that you can collaborate with. And By the way, for those that you see partners you can't collaborate with, get a hold of us, because we've made it very easy for us to establish that connection between a partner that you may not have a current relationship with. Nonetheless, you'll see that, and again, this is going to be an email form-based system. So what will happen is it'll come in, your contact information will already be preloaded in there. So you can see where it says test contact. This is obviously a test company. The engineer's information is going to be loaded in the system. And again, what we're doing is we're submitting a support request to this other member company. You wouldn't put log files in here. You wouldn't put customer sensitive information. You would put enough information in there so that when that call flows into the receiving company, they know what to do with it. And that includes, in most cases, you're going to find this to be the default form. It's going to include who is that mutual customer. Because most of the relationships that we have within the TSANet environment are going to require that there be a mutual customer involved. So we're collecting some basic information about that. I'm going to log you into the database here in a little bit and show you another company. What you're going to see is that this is the standard form, but you'll also see that in a lot of companies have added custom fields. So we give the ability for our members in the basic and the premium relationships to add custom fields. So if they want to put in a serial number, or they want to put in the product that's involved with it, something that triggers the receiver to know that this is one of our customers, and yes, this is what I need to trigger that entitlement on, we can put some of those custom fields in there. But it's a form-based system. All these emails are coming from connect@tsanet.org. When the company that submits that support request, the engineer that actually does that is going to get an email back from the system that summarizes that ticket. They're also going to get escalation information. So if the company does not acknowledge the ticket within the time frame, and there's a time frame tied into the relationship, an SLA tied into that, they're going to get some information back that says, okay, this is the summary of the ticket, and here's some escalation information if that member company doesn't respond within the SLA. There's some automatic triggers that take place here when a member company signs up that says if they don't respond within X time frame, it automatically triggers some emails off to escalation contacts. As an organization, we also get involved in that. So if the company is not responding, we're also notified that the SLA has expired, and we will get involved in it to find out why the company didn't acknowledge the ticket within the time frame. So that's one of the other things that TSANet provides, is another path of escalation that says, hey, if they submitted a case, you need to acknowledge that case. Even if that acknowledgement might be, hey, this customer is not entitled, we still want you to acknowledge that case, that a case was submitted. So the engineer is going to get this email back that summarizes the case. I'm going to flip this around the other way. Now, if this was coming in through a CRM system, there might be a different path that you would take as far as where you got to this point. But at some point in time, typically what was going to happen is it's going to come back and say respond to whoever that member company was that sent you the request. And again, those custom fields will also come in. This email is coming in from connect@tsanet.org. The engineers that might be responding to this case don't have to be in the system. It can come into a support alias is typically where it will go. A lot of member companies, if they want to do this, they can have multiple forms. So if they want to direct certain members one way versus other members another way, you can do that as well. But it's basically going to come in, and they're going to respond on this ticket to say, yeah, I'm going to acknowledge this request, and I'm going to put in whatever my case number is. I'm going to put in the engineer that's going to work the issue. I'm going to put in information about that engineer. And then over here in the notes side, I'm going to say, this is how I want to collaborate with you further. I want you to call me. I'm going to call you. We're going to do this by email. Let's open up a Slack channel or a Teams channel, and here's the link. However it is that you want to do that is what you're going to put in to the notes side, because after you submit this back, this is going to go back directly to that engineer that submitted that support request. And then that's where TSANet's going to record this information, and then we're going to step out of the way. And you're going to now track this within your own CRM system. and you would close out the case within your own CRM system, all that kind of stuff. So this is where we've connected the two endpoints together, and we've said we're done with it now. We've got some information, and you guys will track it using your own business processes. So let me go in, kind of give you an idea here. We'll go into the database, and I've just gone into a test company here. Again, it's going to be every company that's a member is going to have their own landing page that they can get into. And I would come over here, and I'm going to we'll pick on VMware today. So I'll come down here and pick this particular department of VMware. And what it's going to do is now it's going to come up with that form. Let me make it just a little bit smaller so everybody can see a little bit more of it. Right? It's got my information. I'm the engineer. It's got my phone number in here. If obviously if I'm contacting VMware, the customer called me first, I've already created a ticket because I'm working with the customer. I would put my ticket number in here. I'd put in enough problem information for VMware to be able to know what's going on with this ticket. And these are these custom fields that I was talking about. So with VMware, what they want is they're looking for what product is involved, because actually the way VMware is handling issues is it's automatically going in and creating a ticket in Salesforce for them. And then what they're doing is they're triaging that, sending it on to the group that needs to be involved in it. You put in whoever the customer information is. This field right here is if the customer has already opened up a ticket, then you can put in that case number, and that's going to tell the receiving party, in this case VMware, hey, here's the ticket number. Let's hook up, our engineer with their engineer, because we already know that a ticket's been opened up by the customer. And then down here is where you would select the priority of the call, and then you would submit that ticket. And it's really that simple. It's a very simple platform for you to be able to submit a ticket off to another member company, and for that other company to be able to receive that and initiate a collaboration. And that's really all there is to it. Okay, so let me go back to the slides real quick. I want to finish up. I want to give Paul a heads up. I want to give you just a little bit of time if you want to elaborate on anything that I had here. But let me talk just briefly about a couple other things that are benefits of membership at certain levels. We have created focus groups. This is part of being an association. Some very active focus groups, especially in Europe and India. Our Japan focus group is getting going. This is where it could be something outside of the multi-vendor scope, right? They've talked about things in Europe that I've been on calls, and they've talked about how they're doing customer satisfaction surveys. So there's been a lot going on from I'll call it a management perspective, where they come in and you can talk with your peers in the industry about what's going on. The India focus group has a tendency to be a little bit more tactically focused. One of the things that we started this year that we've already got going in India and Europe in our the path that we're going to take on this is to move it into the rest of the world really by the end of the year. Is we've started some engineering and we call them knowledge exchange, where I think to date so far we've had Red Hat, we've had Nutanix come in and talk about some of the troubleshooting tools that they're using. Some of the things that they're doing very tactically focused, not for every engineer, depending on where your product may sit in the stack, but for some people, very good information, and this has been very well received. So again, part of being a member of TSANet is the ability to collaborate and be a part of these environments as well. There is a ton of stuff out there on the website. We've got a lot going in within the organization. Let me pause right here before I close it out. And Paul, if you could also check and see if there was any questions, but anything that you wanted to add to what we've done on the call.
Yeah, just maybe focus on a couple things. First is, if you don't have a login, as Dennis was indicating, you can just go to tsanet.org and click on the member login. You'll find your company page and you'll be able to register. So it's very, very quick to get registration. And then quite a few members have single sign-on activated as well. So obviously, if you're one of those members, you should be able to just find the app within your organization and get direct access to it. Maybe follow on the TSANet Connect 2.0, the probably main feature that we're taking a look at, obviously probably some small enhancements you'll see along the way, but the kind of the major feature that people want us to take a look at is this post connection collaboration. So as you see today, after the connections made between the engineers, we kind of let you work out how are you going to do the collaboration. And some members would like us to, establish maybe a secure messaging system between their CRM systems, or maybe auto launch Teams or WebEx or Slack channels. So those are some things that we'll be taking a look at. And obviously, that might not be something for all members, but members that maybe have more frequent collaborations and would like to just streamline things a little bit more, that's the direction we see the platform going. Yeah, and then I guess I would just reiterate the focus group. So if you're not part of a focus group, definitely reach out to myself. I can get you either directly linked up, because I run the Japan, North America, and the Australia focus group. In fact, the Australia focus group, we're going to be expanding to other APGA countries as well. But then we have Reiner who's heading up the India and Europe, but I can certainly get your name and info over to him, because that's a great opportunity to network and learn some more information and just, get connected with your peers in your region.
Okay, very good. Okay, I don't see any questions. Again, Stephanie's going to be sending out the slide deck on this. So I know there were several people that maybe joined after we were in it for a couple of slides, but
yeah. And then there's there is actually two questions in the chat. So the first, the first was on the lines of SLAs. So there is SLAs. You saw, in fact, Dennis, when you did the thing, if you would have done the pull down, you'll see that the system will tell you what the SLA is based on priority. And we actually do have some automated monitoring and email triggers that go on in the system if you do not get a response. But then also we have a process where TSANet staff are monitoring cases that have not been responded to. They pop in our escalation queue, and we basically chase them down, right? So we escalate based on who the business manager is, what their escalation process. So we have other methods to get involved as well. So certainly, if you don't get a connection, we'll jump in there as well. The second question, you have a question about the VMware and licensing info, and of course, they don't want to give away free support. So I would say, in general, right, the intent here is a supported common customer, right? So the intent of the system is not to bypass support entitlement, give away free support, but there should be a mechanism if, for example, the customer is not under support, to purchase an incident or get back under support or whatever is necessary, right? So the system should support that. And then, as Dennis indicated, you could have a special relationship between a vendor that bypasses entitlement. So say you go to market with a combined solution and you take the first line support and you have a contractual relationship to backline escalate to VMware, for example. You can set up those types of escalations. Okay, and then the last thing, they wanted to know our contact info. So we're super simple. I'm just Paul at TSANet.org, and feel free to shoot me any emails or questions. And Dennis is simple as well. Just Dennis at TSANet.org.
Dennis at TSANet.org. So it's that simple. Again, I would invite you. This is an organization, and for most people on this call, this is your organization, right? So don't hesitate to utilize this. So we actually filled up 30 minutes. I didn't expect that to happen, but that's great. Yeah. Again, thank you so much for being on the call, and we look forward to hearing from you. And if you're a member, we certainly appreciate your support. Okay.
Yeah, maybe one last thing. I know Stephanie kind of shoots out an email, but we always record these as well and create blogs out of them. So you'll be able to go to the TSANet.org site. If, for example, you had a team member that wasn't able to jump on here, you can watch the recording and those types of things as well. Oh, and we have
and GDPR.
Had a question about GDPR. There you go.
Yeah, and yes, we are GDPR compliant. We do have the 27001. As you can see, we're not collecting any really customer sensitive information, but the fact that we do have the information, regarding the engineers that are in there, that kind of thing, kind of it still qualifies us. But we monitor that. We make sure that anything going on from GDPR, that certainly our members have got the ability to go in there. Most of them can delete information that's in there already, and we certainly would go in there and notify anybody of any problems or anything like that if we were to have a data breach or something like that. Kind of all part of our 27001 stuff that we had to go through. Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Okay,
Take
thanks
care.
a lot, everybody.
See ya.
Okay, good day.